Well, Martin, this is the first time we've had you on AFCRDTV, so welcome to the football club. Firstly, how does it feel to have joined AFC Rushden Diamonds?
It's been brilliant, yeah. Obviously, I've had a big change in my career in terms of I've previously been League One. I decided that I couldn't get into a larger club at that point, so my route has now been into the Ministry of Defence. So moving down to the south, I thought that was me for football, and then Andy got the job here, and he was the first person who called me, really. We keep in close contact, and we looked at the permutations actually joining the club, and then using my skills that I've learned over the past 5 seasons in League One at a lower level, really. And obviously Andy's played at league football as well, with a wealth of his experience and my experience. Obviously we've had different sort of backgrounds within a sporting field, so we work very well together, so that's why I'm here.
Yeah, you mentioned the conversations that you've had with Andy. What did they entail?
More about what we can do as a pairing, really. I mean, we got on really well at the time we spent in Accrington Stanley. So we were there for each other for a year. We worked very closely around the foundation and youth development phase. So younger athletes, but we both have a mutual enthusiasm for the game. We both go that extra mile, and I think that we notice in me. And I think when you meet someone who has that sort of infectious personalities for betterment in the game and actually getting the best out of players, it's hard to say no to people around it, really.
You've joined the club as a head of performance, so what more can you tell us about your role and what you'll be getting up to?
I mean, ultimately, everything is going to be an element of trial and error. I think it's bringing that element of professionalism within the club, not that it's not there already, but in elements of strength conditioning, in nutrition, into just daily life, and actually problem solving with players, really. I mean, we're talking about players who aren't obviously full professional. I've always said in terms of professionalism, it's not about salaries, or it's about an ethos and a value. So it's in essence working with players, especially younger ones, in order to realise what a footballer looks like, what they have to lift like, the discipline that's involved in order to get to a higher level, which all these boys want to do, and ultimately it's helping them. So obviously, I want to find about their lifestyles, what they do for a living, what their main roles in terms of what they get their extra salaries for, and from there I can work out the best way to get for Rushden to get the best out of them.
And it's going to be a very busy period coming up with 9 pre-season matches. So how much analysis do you think that you'll be doing throughout that time?
A lot of it will be based on GPS data, and also obviously looking at incrementally the workload for them. A lot of it will be in terms of looking at their job roles, in terms of position wise, in terms of how we want to play. So that will be a lot of discussions that I have with Andy in terms of where we look for in terms of our style of play, and also the types of players that we want, because ultimately it will be a transgressional process throughout the season. Andy believes obviously getting fitness during the games. I have a similar belief in terms of we want our training schedule and our regimen to be as specific as possible, and we share that ideal, really. We don't really, it's not fitness for fitness sake, it has to be sport specific, and that's basically what we're building on during the pre-season.
And do you think that those routines and those schedules, they'll change throughout the season? Because it's obviously a very busy schedule in non-league. Saturday, Tuesday, it can get very hectic, especially throughout the festive period.
Yeah, there will be a lot more, shall we say, active recovery. I've been devising individual plans for players on not on an ad hoc basis, but where they've obviously been able to speak with myself. And there's obviously a finite window for strength training in this time period. After that, like you say, because you're playing your Tuesdays and your Saturdays, there is that element of active recovery, and then probably things you can do in terms of rehabilitation for those who've had either a sketchy past medical history, and for those obviously who just want to obviously do those things which may help them going forward in terms of injury prevention and things, and work on their attrition, because like I say, it will be a young squad this season. We have got obviously players who haven't been accustomed to working that kind of schedule in terms of the game volume, so we have to manage them accordingly, and a lot of that for me comes down to offering as much education as I can, and seeing them as individuals, not just solely as a squad.
Martin, thanks for taking the time to speak to us. I'm sure we'll catch up throughout the season.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Cheers.